So, moving right along. My next weapon, and probably the best weapon you could probably get for our situation. You know, us black folks who don't have a whole lot of money, but there are other reasons why this is probably a much better weapon than an AK or AR, especially in this year's election. This is a high point carbine. This one happens to be in .45 caliber. It shoots, well, yes, there they are, the XTPs. You know those. If you don't know those, these are pretty much some of the best bullets that you can get. It shoots hollows. It shoots barrier breakers. It shoots everything. It gives every little .45 caliber just a little bit more oomph, and it gives you a lot more stability when you're trying to, you know, save your life. There was an article, not an article, a news reel the other day. I guess it's been about a couple of months now. This black lady in Detroit, sister, was at home with her son. I don't know if it was one or two kids, but regardless, 3 guys kicked in her door, and all she had was one of these. She had a 9mm. It wasn't tricked out like this, but she had a 9mm, and she ran downstairs and ran them off. She was nice enough not to kill anybody. She could have, but she just ran them off. And that's all she needed. And she didn't have to, you know, try to negotiate or aim real well with a handgun holding both hands, when all she needed was this little stick right here. Now, the thing is, Hillary might just get elected. And if Hillary gets elected, if she's anything like her husband, which we all know she's probably going to follow some of the same things he did, there's going to be an assault weapons ban. Generally speaking, an assault weapons ban means anything that looks like an assault weapon and has very large magazines, usually anything over 10 rounds. This one right here, which is the .45, comes in at 9. As a matter of fact, the owner of this company won't go any higher simply because he thinks there's going to be another ban, or he doesn't want to have to redesign his gun all over again. He designed this gun during the weapons ban, the last weapons ban we had, so that it could get through without any problems. And as you can see on this gun, it has plenty of rail system. It has rails over here. It has rails down here. They're not the same size as your normal rails, but that's okay. You know, because you can buy. I got this from them. This came with the gun. And everything else on here, well, this is kind of messed up right now. I guess I should paint it again. But everything else on here is pretty much standard, except for this red dot. This is a Bushnell. I got this one off of Amazon for about $75. So we're talking about, I paid what, 15 bucks for this light? We're talking about a .45 here, so we're not talking about a high-powered rifle that's going to have a lot of thump to it. So a cheap light will be just fine. You probably never need the light anyway, but if you do, at least it'll be there. The Bushnell, you can go with a lot less. I only put this on here because I just had it laying around. You could probably get away with a $20, $30 True Light. I had a True Light on here before. I took it off because it needed to change the batteries. And when I changed the batteries, I put this on there. I was like, well, it's on there, so whatever. These are $10, $12 a piece. The kit, you can get this when you buy the gun, or you can get it aftermarket, but the kit, I believe, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, 25 bucks. So you can put 2 magazines on both sides. You don't really need that either. You can just run the gun bare naked if you wanted to. But the great thing about this gun is you can shoot probably up to about, this is the longest I've ever shot it, 100 yards. Now, 100 yards, you're going to have a big, giant bullet drop, but why do you care? I mean, even if there was a shit hit the fan situation, and you know, we're black people, we're minorities, we're going to stay in the cities. So basically, if you're going to get into any real conflict, it's going to probably be from your front door, your window, to the middle of the street. Maybe a house down. That's about 35, 40 yards. Most of us are not living in mansions, so we're not worried about that. So for 40 yards, 45 caliber, and we're talking plus P, because these shoot plus P, plus it'll shoot anything you put in it. And they have a really good reputation for just continuing to run. You're going to be just fine. And if Hillary does come in and does impose an assault ban, you don't have anything to worry about. Add to the fact that, say, you were to buy, say, that high point 9mm or that high point 45 or any 45, like this one. Okay? Say you were to buy this 45. It doesn't really matter what 45 you buy. The only thing that matters is that you only have to buy one type of ammunition. You can switch from your handgun to your carbine, and you can stay with the same ammunition. And that's what's really important here to me. I mean, I understand there's a lot of guys out there on the internet who are like, you know, the bomb, and they have to have all the latest and the greatest. And one of these days, I'm going to put all my guns up here just to show you how I've come full circle. But in reality, and this is something that I think everybody should really think about before they go out here and buy all this crap. You can jump in a time machine and go back 100,000 years and mate with a human from 100,000 years ago. That's how much we have not changed. When they got here to this part of the world, they came here with blunderbusses and all types of really totally antique weapons, and they were doing just fine killing people. Now all of a sudden we have this idea that we have to have that super bullet. That doesn't exist, but we're way past the technology they had when they came to America. We can kill a lot more efficiently now than we ever could before. The difference being now we have ambulances that can get us to the hospital. This is going to make a hole. It's going to make a big hole. Whoever you shoot this with is not going to have a good day. In the meantime, you're only spending, I want to say $300. It's about $300 for just about the entire hookup without the red dot. It's about $300. So you figure if you spend $300 for this and $140 for the handgun, you spent $440. You come in well under how much it would cost for one of the cheapest AR-15s out there. And if you get a cheap AK-47, it might not shoot right. It might not feed right. It's probably going to be canted. The barrel's probably going to be bent. There's just a lot of things that you're not going to get in a cheap AK that you're going to get with what everybody wants to call cheap, but it's pretty well made carbine. So that's what I'm trying to say here. This is the second one that I would go for. After that high point, I would get this high point. I would make it a set. I would get the same in both calibers. It's kind of hard to find the 9mm, but if you can, get the 9mm handgun and the 9mm carbine. Ammo's cheap. You got something to defend yourself with. You have something to reach out and touch somebody with out there in that city street. And if push comes to shove, you can throw a handgun in one person's hand, this in another person's hand, and you got some pretty good defenses before somebody kicks your door in. Instead of having one gun that costs a whole heck of a lot of money, that if you get shot, you just ass out. Everybody in the house is dead now because the only person that could defend them was you. So keep that in mind. And now I'm about to make another video.